in terms of playstyle. So this is kind of a new experience for all of us to see. Let's see which map that we're going to be playing on today in this matchup. Again, the best of one series as we do in EU League. No overtime. We're going to play on Oregon Granite having the final say. Des, you say of course. Excited, I guess?
Yeah, we saw them play this against Windstrike on the last Playday. This is speaking for Granite. We haven't yet seen Heretics play on it, so for them it's kind of air quotes business as usual. Played it a couple of times in the Nordic Championships as well, so I wouldn't say they're foreign to this map. They will definitely be feeling comfortable here. The unknown factor in this though has got to be Heretics. I'm sitting here thinking we haven't seen them on it. No doubt we've seen Granite played a few times now, so for Heretics they can do all the counter prep they need to. Just how ready are Heretics for this map, and can they surprise Granite is my question.
Ooh.
Well, they can, because I'm just looking back at all of their bans for all of EUCL thus far. Not once have they banned it. Not once have they tried to ban any of their bans. So I have a feeling, sneaky suspicion, that this is one of their popular maps that they like to go to, because otherwise you would see at least maybe one ban of it. I don't see a singular one from Heretics on Oregon thus far. So good time to show us your best map if this really is it, Heretics. I'm ready to go.
All right, just as we are all ready to go, I can tell you that. Let's toss it over to our Sharpay and, well, I guess her co-singer in this one, Gio and Tev. Please enjoy the music.
Thanks, Milosh, but do you not know who Ryan is? Does he not know High School Musical? I'm really disappointed. Well,
do I officially have permission to sing now?
It means we can bop to the top. Please don't sing.
All right.
No, you look too happy.
Down.
All right, anyway, let's head into the game. Granite Gaming versus Heretics. Granite, as they said at the beginning, not quite showing up to expectations coming in, while Heretics, they've got 2 draws on the board so far, but can they turn this game into their first win?
Should be a good game here. The Beneluxian roster and the roster that qualified via the Spanish Nationals, and that is where we actually did see Oregon come out from Heretics. The guys were talking on the desk. It's not a map that they have banned thus far, so one that Heretics have definitely been keeping up there, up the sleeve, ready for it. Look at that, hello fans. JTC, you don't have any fans, man. Just chill out, all right, buddy? Just chill. Heretics, they have played this map a couple times before. They actually beat Movista Riders, Electrify, the Spanish roster that is, and Team Sinorg, all in the Spanish Nationals. So they are, as you could say, undefeated on this map. But Granite, they had a decent showing against Windstrike, of course lost that game, but also beats teams like Sisu and even the EUL roster themselves, Chaos, in Nordic Champs. So, hey, there's a decent shot here.
I was going to make a joke about the fact that they're an EUL roster, but that might not be for very long. Either way, the point... You did an oof, I had to do an oof in response.
That's cool. I'm cool to oof it out.
I bet you are. Either way, the point stands is that both of these teams have proven that they can play fairly well on this map. But this is the difference. When you come into Challenger League, you're facing teams from other regions who you haven't necessarily played against maybe ever, but for the most part of recent history, and it's going to be a new challenge. Operator bans, they've all been and gone. Hibana, Monty, Maestro, and Clash. Nice little variety.
I was really hoping it would be a mirror ban for the last one, so that if you just said the first letter of each operator, it would be but instead we get which just does not work as I intended. So yeah, oh well, what a shame. Let's talk about these operator bans though. For me, the standout one there, the unusual one, is actually the Hibana. We've seen Hard Breach be a heavy point of contention here on Oregon, but usually it's not the Hibana that receives the ban, it's often the Maverick in tandem with the Thatcher. Guess what? Both of those are on the cards here, so Hard Breach should definitely be fairly easy. On top of that, you've got the Maestro banned out on the defensive side, one of the operators you'll usually see Impact Trick on that Dorm's defense, so you're probably going to have to bring something like a Melusi or a Legion to do that instead, if you are intending to Impact Trick. But also, of course, Maestro's got those bulletproof cameras, the Evil Eyes, which are one of the most pivotal parts of his utility, really good for site information and site plant denial with the laser in the late round. And of course, with Echo being banned league-wide at the moment, it does mean that you don't really have many information gatherers for the bomb site. And we'll see, instead of bringing any camera-centric ops, the main info gatherer on Heretics here would be the Mirror, which will no doubt probably be facing in a freezer, I would expect, on the wall that Juke is reeling. I don't know, where is the mirror? Maybe off-site mirrors? No, Baroz is just doing hatches. I'll keep an eye on where those mirrors go down later. But for info as well, we've also got the Malusi, which will provide the defenders a little bit of a heads up for any attackers coming on through.
I think what's also quite interesting to note is the fact that both of these teams are ones which have relatively characteristic operator bans that they like to go for. For example, you can usually expect Granite to ban out a Thatcher. That hasn't been done. In fact, you see Madman sitting on that operator now. Just as you'd kind of expect them, they like Mirror as well. They like to ban Mirror. She hasn't gone. So, and on the side of Heretics, both of their Challenger League games so far have involved Cap and Malusi bans. So it's a difference compared to how they've been playing so far in the league.
Love that. Subverting expectations. But Granite aren't wasting any time here. They've taken map control. Badger moving on forward. The Yana, not an operator we see all the time, but does come out on Oregon every now and then. I like that. That mute jammer was clearly placed on the dryer inside Laundry, and that jammed out that drone. That's why it was picked up just there. Look at that. So that's a beautiful mute jam. And not only does that jam any drones coming through lobby and on the stairs, but also it jams up the hatch. So we do have the Thatcher, which we might see in the late round dispatch with that. Should the lobby hatch be a point of contention, but at the moment it seems like, as is pretty usual these days for Oregon, Granite is focusing very much here on the meeting hatch and the north side push.
Yeah, they're just going to follow up the EMP with a nade. Not anyone down there who's going to be injured as Duke runs backwards, but I think that means that now there's no one present in Pillar. So Heretics might have just given some space. Oh, there you go, there isn't anyone there. So they've given a lot of space over to Granite already and are just hedging their bets on being able to have a stronger, I suppose, anchor-esque defense closer to the site.
How are Granite intending to deal with this mirror at elbow? It's a really powerful position. Usually you'd want to take it. There's a lot of different ways they could do it. There's smokes. They could smoke up the mirror. At the moment, they've opened up the single boiler wall onto the bomb site. That's a really pivotal one. And we could see the Ace. Actually, no, Ace is all out of Selmas, and that's the only hard breach. Curie finds a C4 kill onto Madman, and the guns start to come alive.
Yeah, there's a few back and forths there before it begins to cease, but it's going to start up once again as Oscar swings around and gets a kill onto Duke. A 3 versus 3 situation with 40 seconds remaining. Badger's going to be in charge of holding onto the hallway as there's 2 players nearby, one in freezer and one down the end. They have to keep an eye on the elbow, but there are the smokes. That's going to help obscure them, and there's one of the players who's been downed as well. Not a good position for Heretics, who now have a significant amount of pressure on their backs. Another player is starting to come in through elbow. Curie's going to ensure that Eastwood is taken down, and now he's just got to watch out for any of these players who may come through the rotate and begin to put down the diffuser. That's going to be Oscar's job. Oh, wow, okay. Uldruzi starts to move back, but...
What?
Heretics get an ace? Wait, what?
Yeah, look, I don't blame you, Gio. That one caught me by surprise as well. Curie started off with a strong round and polished it off as well. Attempting to cover the plant in the late round did not pan out for Granite, despite taking out the player who peeked out from Laundry. There were a lot of positions to watch, and I believe that was, what, a 3v3, or sorry, a 2v2 in the late round there. And, well, Kuribo certainly turned up the heat. A C4 started it, thrown off from inside supply over into electrical, and that found the first kill of the round. Guns came alive afterwards. Curie ended up on a 3K, at which point he was holding elbow. We saw the ace go down. Nuts stuff. And yeah, well, you'll love to see it, I guess.
Yeah, that really took me by surprise, because you just saw so much backwards and forwards. You didn't necessarily, or at least I didn't necessarily notice that it was all from that just one player. It's a good start for Heretics. We mentioned, of course, how they only have 2 draws on the board, no wins yet. And while they are in the top 4 of their group so far, they've got some other, I suppose you could say, more elite teams at the top of the group at the moment. And they need to prove that they can take them on in order to give them a bit more of a boost going forward in the competition.
Well, it's a nice way to start it, but Kuribo gets a bit greedy for his team. Only one to find kills. Saka actually did survive that round, so it must have been a 3v2 at the end of it for Heretics. And, well, Granite, I think they can't dwell too much on that. just little things, little mishaps here and there that made the round swing towards Heretics. For me, one of the things I would focus on is the mirror in elbow, which I thought was really impactful into the late rounds. And we'll see if Granite can problem solve some of this setups a bit better this time. No mirror, of course, but the Goya is present for Broz. One shield placed in Trophy, a nice aggressive position. So powerful if you can hold on to Trophy as a defender. Really put the pressure onto Master here, which is a heavy point of contention. The breaching rounds go out for Madman, and wow, did that actually cop 2 of the shields? Because there was one in Trophy. Yeah, wow, that is an amazing explosion there from Ash. I got a lot more than she bargained for.
That's value for money. And now Broz will, he'll get droned out. He's protected by an ADS. So Madman's not gonna rush straight in or make 2 more. Oh, that's the second time that's happened now. He got C4'd in the last round. He gets C4'd again. It's a good job he put his breaching round to good use early on, because no longer is he gonna be a part of the game. And now Badger has to take his place of holding Trophy.
Not mindful enough of the flank there for Heretics, and Sake able to get the first kill. We'll see how this round develops now, because Heretics, aside from that early pick against them, pick for them rather, Granite had made good control. What is this execute though? A jump in and kills both sides. Oscar, the last one remaining. Gio, I'm so confused right now. These teams just put the pedal to the metal, and Sake closes it as well. Heretics, well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, it's like it gets incredibly aggressive at the end. Suddenly everybody's killing everyone. You've got one guy left. Sake at the end going into a closet and flanking around, putting Oscar in a position where he really couldn't do anything about it. And suddenly Granite are left thinking, how the hell did we get here?
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty hard to unpack a round like that where all the action went down in about 5 seconds. And let's just go first things first, right? There was a really good attempt from Granite at the start to start clearing out that util. It was 1 minute 54 on the clock when they were breaching the closet wall. That's really good time management. There was no wall denial whatsoever from Heretics. And of course, a Thatcher on the side of Granite would have made it nullified any static wall denial placed on the wall. But yeah, I guess the overall story of this is Heretics has been allowed to initiate both of these rounds and convert as well. The explosivity from Granite not seeming effective whatsoever. And the Spanish are looking on fire.
We have to remember that despite the fact that they haven't had the most prosperous go in Challenger League so far, they still managed to go through the finals of the Spanish Nationals, not dropping a single map. So, especially against a team like Granite, who seem to be struggling, you know, obviously, Derry, he worked on Nordic Championship, and he knows a decent amount about these teams, and he said to us, look out for players like Eastwood, he's going to show up. Having worked in the UK scene, I'm familiar with Madman. He was ex-Crazy, he played with them, they came first in ESL Prem back in the spring, and then he came 6th in Challenger League with them. These are good players, but they're not showing up to the expectations that we would otherwise have for them, and Heretics are taking advantage of that, and you can see exactly why.
It's funny that you mentioned those two players specifically, because over on Eastwood, which I know one that Derry keeps hyping up, been really poorly performing thus far in the CL. 0.5 rating thus far, really overall negative on KD, and yes, playing support, stats on everything, but when you're hyping up a player, you expect them to be impressive, right? And Madden's actually the second worst rated player on Granite as well, with a negative KD and even opening KD. So I would like to see Granite, for me, it's not even individual performance. It's just try and punish Heretics a little bit more. And there you go. That's a nice way to kick it off.
Yeah, you want to be seeing something like that. And it also means that Madman's now not the first one to be caught out with a C4. So it's a nice change of scenery, I think, is fair to say. Illusion's still upstairs, holding on to the top floor to prevent the vertical presence from the attackers being an overpowering force for the defenders, but they are eventually going to hunt him out. But Sake gets the net shot. That's onto Oscar. Weaken now is Granite, and suddenly Illusion's attention is onto the players coming in through Attic. He gets traded out, but still a good kill to start off. And this means Granite can take control of this upstairs area.
Pretty good time management, especially considering we've got all this west side control of showers. Remember, this is meeting and kitchen bomb site. And it looks like perhaps Granite are going for a fairly unorthodox take here. What is that? How is Sake allowed to just go back upstairs, trade it out, 2v2, but Madman's lit? This round is becoming messier and messier, and the less players that the attackers have on the lineup means it's less likely for them to be able to go for a more typical execute. From here on, it's more likely to be a situation of just find these defenders with the one remaining drone that Eastwood's got, and just start to isolate them and frag out.
Yeah, it's felt a lot less methodical and a lot less thorough than you would expect to see from teams, for example, in EUL. And it's not necessarily fair to compare Challenger League teams to EUL teams, but that's clearly the goal. They want to make it up to EUL. You can't afford to have messy play. Eastwood very nearly catching out the mirror, but Curry will get away with his life. 20 seconds left. You said they're going to have to isolate these defenders, but it looks like it's going to be Madman who's isolated and killed himself. And Heretics clean up the round, securing themselves a third win.
Heretics certainly don't let up, and they've looked in control from start to finish here over Granite. I thought that maybe that 2 versus 2 was a salvageable position, especially because Eastwood, with his last remaining drone, was able to locate that mirror, but yeah, not using vertical play to flush her out and not working together. I think the idea for the last 2 Granite players, which was, funnily enough, it was Eastwood and Madman, the 2 that we were talking about, who are actually at the top of the scoreboard right now in terms of the frags. They kind of separated a little bit, and I understand the idea in going for a 2-pronged push, not just tunneling through the same direction, but I do feel like maybe one player above, ready to drop down the kitchen hatch if necessary, and one player pushing from the dining side might have been a bit more successful, maybe push from the server hallway bottom white. But no, they just pushed 2 separate ways and found 2 separate 1v1s in which they lost. And now Heretics have made a full sweep of bomb sites successful. We'll go back downstairs, where previously Curry was enabled to get an ace on this mute. Surely I don't see the same thing happen again.
Yeah, this is where Heretics, as I say, they relinquished a lot of the control that they held onto Pillar, moved back towards the site, and sure, they still held on to Freezer. They had a player who was quite up close in Laundry, right by that mute jammer that you pointed out that was on the dryer before, also protected by an ADS, so it's the same ADS has been placed there. I assume the same mute jammer is going to be there too. But they also kept a very vigilant control on Elbow. So despite the fact that they didn't do the late reinforce when, you know, you would expect many other teams to, because they had the mirror window right there, every time Granite tried to send someone round, even when they sent a player around protected, or I suppose disguised by the Gemini that was guiding them, still immediately shot down. It was very hard for Granite to aggress.
Yeah, it's a very different interpretation from Heretics on this bomb site than what we see from a lot of EUL teams, and I guess a lot of teams globally, which is, of course, this shield. Usually it's a smoke who plays an elbow, but no, they're going for the mirror window. It's a great strategy. It definitely worked out for Heretics last time. As you said, they retook elbow in the late round after they'd already found 1 kill from it. But there's definitely a lot of utility on the Granite side to deal with this setup. In particular, I think of one Ace Selma on the mirror window would just pop it straight away. But of course, only bringing the 1 hard breach does hamstring Granite somewhat, because now with Eastwood opening up that meeting hatch, he only has a single Selma remaining. He probably wants to use that for the single wall on the Laundry site, or rather on the supply side from Boiler. And I think that maybe Granite would benefit from bringing some more hard breach to the table here.
So you start to see the Hibana ban actually working its magic. Of course, there are 4 main hard breaches now, so you still have your options. Duke holding quite far forward, as well as Sake, actually. So this is different to what we saw before. You still have the players from Granite present there on the tower stairs, just waiting to throw in. There's going to be a magnet that's actually eating up that utility. I assume that was a nade that was being thrown out by Badger, who'll now just take in a drone, but there are still other magnets around, but there aren't going to be as many players. Madman with a 2K, that was beautiful, but he gets swiftly taken out. Curry continues to clean up. The man who got the ace before, but Barros securing 1 for himself means that he won't be again. Diffuser has now been dropped on tarps. That will make it harder for Granite. Oh, wow. That's painful. The barrel of a shotgun straight in your face. And it looks like this site is rather indomitable.
Well, that is what happens when you just walk straight into the meat grinder. 6 players died in the space of 15 seconds there. And it wasn't even the last 15 seconds of the round. People talk about this 20-second meta. It's wait. Try and build up for your execute and then execute. Well, I don't even think that was so much an execute as Granite were like, okay, we need to flush out these players from Pillar. They kind of just all pushed and tried to peek and refrag out the situation. They lost 4 of their players and only killed 2 on the enemy side. Really, really one-dimensional, and I think an insufficient push there from Granite. One that didn't have a lot of depth to it and was kind of just crossing their fingers, closing their eyes, and pulling the trigger. Certainly didn't work for them, and I have to credit Heretics. The way that they're holding that bomb site, it enables the aggressive peaks they like to play, while still being a full anchor strategy, making Granite make that first move, and Heretics just play off of those anchor positions, be it Pillar, be it the mirror windows, even supporting from the single door of the bomb site where we saw Curry once again get a few kills. And yeah, Granite just don't know how to pick it apart.
It almost feels like panic, and I don't want to be too swift to say that because I'm not in the game, I'm not in their heads. And you know, no one's going to know what they're thinking other than them. But the fact that they did kind of go in for that rush at the end, they didn't take the time to clear out the necessary areas. Once they lost that frag grenade to the magnet, you didn't build up, you know, other utility to clear those things out. You sent in a drone afterwards, which suggests that you didn't already straight away know where the players were present down there, in which case, why did you use the nade? Why didn't you scout out that utility in the first place? It's kind of questionable, and I want to see Granite be more methodical.
Well, let's see. They've got another chance here on Dorm's attack. Last time this one exploded, they found the early pick actually on there. Oh, sorry, they had the early pick against them. This time, Madman gets first blood. It's Baroz to go down. The player previously aggressive, but this is Heretics. They just do not let up. They take down the Yana player with a nice run out from small tower. Credit to, no doubt, the black eyes that Saka would have placed outside.
It's troubling as well when you lose Badger as your first death because he was the only player last week who went positive on a rating. And not only did he go positive, it was actually pretty high with a 1.48 rating. He had a +5 KD, so he's been doing a lot of work for the team, and if he's someone who, compared to your other players, has been showing up, not someone that you want to be losing early, especially when those Geminis and the frag grenades are now no longer there.
Yeah, keep in mind that previously, the first pick on this bomb site was a C4 through the fall from Sake around this classroom area, probably on this Valkyrie camera right here. That was the info that he would have used to enable that, and he's still got the C4 in the pocket and roaming underneath, so Eastwood is to be extra careful the floor doesn't turn into lava. Granite have good control though. They've made a breach onto dorms, and at least in EUL and APAC, we've seen that this breach means just about everything for this bomb site. But there you go, it's not an entry breach yet because of that impact coming out from Illusionist. But Eastwood completely out of hard breach. Once again, the lack of hard breach from Granite hamstringing them in their attack.
It's making them suffer, and it's forcing them into situations where they're having to be more aggressive, and we've seen that hasn't worked out too well for them as JTC takes a significant amount of damage peeking round into Kids. He's going to require the support of the rest of his team, but they're struggling to push in as it is. Eastwood has no choice but to peek on through the line of sight hole that he's made because he can't make it in. The shield is still there. That helps Heretics hide behind. And all the while, Granite are still taking a decent amount of damage. Madman's looking for who might be below as Sake is still roaming and he catches him out. He's stuck on the wub, couldn't get rid of it beforehand. And Granite are really, really looking at a dangerous, scary situation here. JTC trying to play from below as they desperately enter into the final 15 seconds of this round, but Curie's ready and waiting to bring Oscar. Now you've just got your Zafir left. Can he even land this last shot? He's just got to spray around the door. Heretics, a fifth round in their pocket and edging ever closer to a win.
I would like to say that these rounds are getting better and better for Granite as it goes along, but I feel like it's almost the opposite. While Granite might have started things off with that first kill, Madman getting some revenge there onto Baroz, it just did not let up. And Heretics, they always want the last laugh. We saw a great run out from Sake from Small Tower at the start, 4v4, and was such that way for a long time. With Heretics retaining quite a lot of map control. We saw downstairs, Sake allowed to roam late round, lots of info, so much info, really impactful impact tricks from Illusionist as well, denied the breach from Granite, and I think that was the moment where Granite is like, oh, crap. They had 45 seconds left, 4 versus 4. They don't have numbers advantage. They only have a line of sight breach onto the bomb site. They can't enter, at which point the shield is still up as well on site, and that just makes it really hard to brute force from the trophy door. That was the moment when what I assume Granite's thought process was when Eastwood threw out the smokes is, let's pretend we're executing. I'm going to smoke out to deny lines of sight. Of course, with that Maestro ban, it means they won't be able to see through the smoke unless if they've bought bulletproof cameras, which I don't believe they had any of. And the Granite was thinking, okay, surely these smokes will just bait Heretics into peeking because they'll think that we're planting and they'll push us. Well, that didn't happen. The smokes just dissipated and Granite is still sitting there, but now with even less utility, and it was a desperate push from there on. I really think the number one thing Granite could do to have more success on their Oregon attack is bring a second hard breacher. And it makes me wonder, if Hibana was not banned by Heretics, would Granite be bringing that Hibana?
Maybe the answer is yes, but obviously in this game we will not find out. All we can see is how much of a hindrance it's being to them. I have to say I kind of felt sorry for JTC almost in that last round because of how much ground he tried to cover himself. He's having to use one of his lifelines to open up the castle barricade on the big window before Heretics can even really begin to get into the sway of this first attack. Or sixth attack, I suppose.
And once again, we're going to kitchen meeting. Didn't work out so well for Granite last time. It was a 2v2. Mainly on the back of good aggression from Heretics. Remember, we had these players roaming upstairs, and Granite, that was where their focus was in the early round, the west and top floor. Ooh, Madman spots out that player, knows how dangerous a position he is in. Ooh, nice there, Selma onto the mirror window. I believe that does actually open it. But the impact trick somewhat stalls out that breach. Oscar takes a heck of a lot of damage. There you go. The mirror window is still intact, but very difficult to play off because if you try and peek from that, well, your entire body underneath it is exposed.
Sake present in Armory, he may have the opportunity to just push up and get aggressive here as there are players upstairs, and that's Oscar who will be falling. Bros goes down in return as Madman gets a 2k. This is a good place for Granite to be, and Madman's just going to keep on going. Can he continue to clean up? There's only 2 players of Heretics remaining, and this could be the chance for Granite to actually turn the momentum around. These last 2 players, Duke and Curia, keeping close together. It's going to make it harder for Granite, but there's JTC with a kill. Badger goes down. Curia with the knife as well. Eastwood finishing things off, secures Granite their first round, but my, it did get close at the end.
I really like the idea from Heretics to go for that 2 versus 4 retake upstairs. I like the way that they keep that aggression up and they try and subvert the expectations. They don't let Granite have a moment of peace. But of course, in that 4 versus 2, they have been established fairly early on by Granite, thanks mostly to Madman. They didn't lose that one out. And Eastwood cleans up the final kill. Does make you wonder what had happened differently if maybe that first player from Heretics had copped a kill before dying. But nonetheless, a very, very satisfactory half for Heretics. 5-1 on the defense. Oregon Madman does manage to rake up a lot of kills by the end of it, but I don't think it's it's not very early time in the game to start waking up. We're really going to have to see GG, well, turn on the heat before it is in fact GG.
Heretics are only a couple of rounds away from taking this entire game. And clearly one of the big issues that we've highlighted with Granite is... I'm trying to think of the right adjective because I want to use flimsy. The flimsiness of their approach to a lot of the strategy that they've done. Obviously, we know that attack can be significantly harder to do that on because of the nature of the communication and the just general coordination that you require on attack. But even so, Heretics who look stronger in that nature could find that they thrive on the attack here as they come up against Granite, and that puts Granite in a very difficult position because they don't have much time or much opportunity to defend themselves and defend their chance of getting a win.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, my theory as to why Granite struggled so much was because of the lack of hard breach and the good hard breach denial from Heretics, and I was saying they just need to bring more than one hard breacher, but Heretics are only bringing the one. Not even bringing any secondary hard breach gadgets at all, so... Well, maybe Heretics will prove me wrong, and they'll show that you don't actually need more than one hard breacher on this site, but that'll also partly come down to how Granite deal with this, and whether they have effective hard breach denial. I like this from Heretics, though. Good map control, air jabs to prevent those late flanks. Of course, it's really the mid-round that is going to be the most critical for this attack. How can they take control of Boiler, Pillar, Elbow, and set themselves up for an execute onto site? Because that is the thing that Granite really struggled with.
Yeah, especially dealing with the Wamai magnets, which are going to be present on the side of Granite as Eastwood takes up the mantle on Wamai. But already the meeting hatch has been opened. Luge just taking some shots down the tower stairs. He knows now that there is a shield down there that will have to be removed, but it's not going to make any kind of rush as he just sends in the drone. The Mute Jammer has also been pinged out, so that's going to help Heretics remove the utility that will prevent them ultimately from opening any of these walls.
Illusionists all out of drones. What's the play now for Heretics? You can't just keep droning it forever. You gotta start using this util. There is, as far as I'm aware, zero pressure at blue at the moment. It's just a drone in there. Trying to flush out this player. We saw Shaiko play so effectively in this position for BDS, but Illusionist to punish and no refrag to come through. Good start here for Heretics.
JTC is trying to watch out on more than one angle, and that's a dangerous game to play, especially now that your Vulcan shield has been exploded, giving Illusionist the room that he needs to begin to move down.
Oh, no.
The fight was taken in the hallway, but JTC wins that one out. He's on about half HP and retreats to the site, knowing that there's another attacker on his tail. But even so, that was a big misplay there from Heretics. Luge just trying to get what angles he can while Duke has taken control here in Freezer. Because of the placement of the air jabs, it could be difficult for Granite to deal with him, especially as they don't seem to have any control here at all. He can't quite get the shot in to JTC, who is present here in Laundry. And time is starting to run out, but as I say that, Madman is going to come out for the late flank. He does catch out the Nomad very closely, not doing so. And this could go the way of Granite, but they just keep shooting. They just keep winning. They just keep getting those shots. JTC with 2. And Granite proved that maybe the tides could turn on the defense.
Wow, I'm surprised that managed to pan out at the end of it. It didn't get super close there for Heretics. A 1v3 at the end of it, and that flank definitely was the nail in the coffin for any prospect of that push, the prong from Freezer working out for Heretics. Now, they did start it well with that first kill, and they had control of Pillar and control of Boiler as well, and that's the thing that Granite always really struggled with on their attack, so I thought maybe that would be exactly what Heretics needed, but no, they couldn't convert that into a successful execute. They didn't manage to bait out the Plants Nile utility, and of course that flank really spelled death for the Freezer prong of it at the end, but nonetheless, Granite on the... They start the first step on the comeback. It's a long way though. We'll have to see a successful rotation of all 3 main bomb sites. They can't just win on Laundry, and they can't even just win on Laundry and Dorms. If they do that, they'll win 4 rounds, and then, well, Heretics will take the 2 on their off sites. So we have to see Granite do exactly what Heretics did. A full rotation of 3 bomb sites. And, well, even a draw at the moment is quite a stretch.
I find it funny how Granite ended up doing the exact thing that I thought they wouldn't be able to because of the Nomad, right? Madman came round for the late flank, took total advantage of the situation. Suddenly you've only got 2 members of Heretics remaining, while all the other players on Granite can just collapse onto them and surround them. Given the fact that Heretics have opted to bring Nomad once again on this attack, I'm wondering if that's something that's very much going to be on their mind when it comes to the placement of the air jabs and being very vigilant about the fact that that's something Granite are willing to do.
funny, these teams are doing quite similar things. Illusionist at the moment pushing downstairs on the west side. Actually, quite a few players down here. I will correct myself. I don't think we saw... I was thinking more so Granite's attacks onto the meeting bomb side, but I don't think they really emphasized this vertical control when they were attacking dorms here. Oh, I like this shield, though, from Granite. I can't remember which player it was. I think it was Mint from Dark Zero. He started using the shield. If we can, Medic, see this from Oscar's perspective, because the cool thing about this shield is, particularly if he gets off the bed underneath and just like stands behind the shield, there's actually this tiny little pixel angle you can get underneath the shield where the mattress kind of goes down, but it doesn't matter. Really effectively countered here from Heretics. Smart, instead of just trying to brute force it, they flush it out from the side, and they find one kill before it is traded though.
Yeah, big ouch. Sake went to peek in through the closet wall, and Madman was ready awaiting. That means he's still going to have to be cleared out. It's a more dangerous position to play in, but Alush just says, no, I'm sorry, you can take down our players and I'll take down you. Now suddenly only 2 members of Granite are remaining. This is suddenly a much more difficult situation.
Did they just walk all the way up White Stairs twice? Because, I mean, that's a pretty cheeky strat. Look at this. Let's go again. White Stairs is my best friend. Illusionist to throw a nade. That does a bit of damage to Badger, and it makes sure that there's no one in that corner there. 4v2 numbers in favor of Heretics. A shot to come through all on Eastwood, and he's finished off as well. Heretics close out that round, a convincing one as well, establishing that man advantage in the early to mid round, and then it was just a matter of refrags to finish off the final.
I feel like we've seen Illusionist and Curie appear in the kill feed so much today so far. I really like the overall way that Heretics went about that round. You were saying how valuable the shield present on the master to bed can be. So what do? They just open up the wall from Armory Corridor so that you can't play there anymore, surprise! And yeah, maybe you lost your Thatcher in an unfortunate altercation in the games room wall, but when you can just take such clean control of such a vital part of the map, being White Stairs, that's how you end up in a situation that they did.
I don't know if we're doing replays production, but it would be awesome if we could see the first kill that came out that round, because I'm pretty sure Sake just walked up the White Stairs directly into the bomb site, found one, and then was traded. And I think that the moment that worked for Heretics, like, yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade, right? But the moment he was allowed to get there, I think Heretics realized, look, there's absolutely no one watching this. So we can just keep doing this. And they had, I think, 2 more people eventually just keep pushing up that White Stairs. A clear gaping hole that we saw from Granite that Heretics exposed. And here's the big concern, right? I said that Granite are going to need to maintain 3 different bomb sites. They're going to have to do a full rotation and more than that in order to tie this up and do better. But of course, they couldn't even win their secondary bomb site here. They're going to flip straight over to their tertiary because they were so concerned with how poorly that went. And, well, I think this might be where the Spanish stake their claim.
It looks like it's going to be that way. One of the really important points that you mentioned earlier was the fact that, let's say they win this round, at some point they're still going to have to go to the sites they feel uncomfortable on, which has now been proven to be kids because they were so dominated on it. Yeah, they could change up their strategy. They had an interesting one going into it, but due to the nature of what it was they were doing, they probably felt confident, like, yeah, there's no way they're going to be able to take advantage of this. And they did. So, while Granite still yet to prove their worth on this site itself, it just makes you concerned for when they have to move on in the future.
Meeting and dining here, or rather dining and kitchen. Pressure on top floor, 205. What an early push. Heretics don't give a damn. They just want to close it out. 5v2, and so early. I don't think this will last much longer.
No hesitation. JTC gets 1 kill for himself, and he's still looking up into the hatch, knowing full well that there are the players from Heretics up there. But 1 second he looks away, and that's when he's taken down. Now Oscar has to relinquish his position in security to try and move up. He still has a C4 in hand, but he's also the only player remaining on Granite Gaming. This is the last chance that Granite have to continue on this game, and Curie's putting down the diffuser. He jumps down. down. He can't even get one. Granite pushed straight out of this game, and Heretics looking dominating.
A fantastic game for the Spaniards here in the Challenger League, and they take a dominant 7-2 victory over the Nordic team. What a way to finish it as well. An explosive attack onto Dorms. No hesitation whatsoever. Just a full, guys, let's just absolutely send it. We didn't need a drone, Dorms. We know they're going to be in the room. Let's just refrag it out. They didn't even need to refrag. They found every damn kill. And a nice flawless end to a fantastic map for Heretics.
Yeah, the way they just jumped straight out, they didn't care. As you say, they just straight up didn't give a damn. And Heretics, who probably felt kind of hard done by the fact they had 2 draws so far after such a dominating run in the Spanish Nationals, they've now proven what it is they can do. And the question is, can they continue to do it moving forward? It was a pretty quick game, so analysts, let us know what you think of that one.
A pretty quick and one-sided one, as